The Celtic world begins not with borders or kings, but with wind through trees, whispers in stone, and rivers that carry memory. Before maps or names, there were forests thick with mystery and mountains veiled in cloud. The Celts were not a single empire, but a tapestry of tribes scattered across Europe, from the green hills of Ireland and the highlands of Scotland to Gaul, Iberia, and even Anatolia. Their culture wasn't carved in marble, but sung through generations, wrapped in mist and magic. The Celts left few written records, yet their legacy lingers in language, ruins, and legend. They saw the land not as something to conquer, but as something alive. Trees had souls, rivers had voices, mountains remembered. Every grove could hold a god. Every stone could be a doorway to the other world. Their world was animated by unseen forces, a realm where myth and nature walked hand in hand. Even now, their echoes stir in quiet places. They believed in cycles, not just of seasons, but of life, death, and rebirth. Time was not linear, but spiraled like the Triskelion, ever-flowing. Their festivals followed the rhythm of the sun and moon. Even the act of telling a story was sacred, a weaving of past into present, of earth into memory. Fires were kindled to guide spirits. Stones were raised to honor ancestors. Through these rites, they stayed connected to what lay beneath the scene. Unlike many ancient cultures, the Celts did not build towering cities or sprawling monuments. Their greatness lived in stories and songs and in the land itself. Their legacy is in how they saw the world, as sacred, enchanted, and deeply interconnected. Even today, the ruins of their hill forts and standing stones feel alive. You don't visit the Celtic Realms. You enter them quietly, as if stepping through a dream woven from oak leaves and thunder. As you settle into rest, let this world wrap around you. Imagine the crackling of ancient fires, the rustle of leaves above sacred groves, and the hum of a harp echoing through distant hills. Tonight, you are not just falling asleep. You are crossing into a realm where the old gods wait in silence, and where magic still stirs beneath the moss and moonlight. The forest was more than a backdrop to Celtic life. It was its very heart, dense, damp, and rich with the scent of moss and pine. The ancient woodlands were both home and temple. Trees weren't just part of the scenery. They were elders, watchers, spirits in living form. The Celts believed each tree had its own soul, its own story, and among them, certain trees, like oak, ash, and yew, held sacred significance. To walk into a forest was to enter into communion with nature itself. Groves were the Celts' cathedrals. Within natural clearings surrounded by sacred trees, Druids led rites beneath the sky. There were no temples of stone, only the earth and its rhythms. The rustling of leaves was as holy as any prayer. These ceremonies could honor the changing seasons, welcome a new chieftain, or call down blessings from the gods. The grove was where the visible world thinned and the unseen one spoke. People entered barefoot in silence and left with reverence. The trees also carried practical and magical uses. The wood of different species was used for crafting charms, wands, and ritual tools. The rowan tree, for instance, was believed to ward off evil spirits. The hazel tree brought wisdom. The yew offered knowledge of death and rebirth. Celts often planted sacred trees near their homes or tribal centers, known as Cran Bethad or Tree of Life. These trees weren't decoration. They were living links between earth, sky, and spirit. But forests were not only places of peace. They were also wild and unpredictable. Spirits, fae, and otherworldly beings were said to dwell within, and travelers were warned not to stray off paths after nightfall. Some trees were considered portals to the other world, and certain glades were avoided entirely. Even in daylight, the silence could feel alive. The Celts respected this mystery. They didn't seek to tame the wild. They listened to it. Now, as you close your eyes, imagine you're beneath those ancient branches. Feel the cool air wrap around you. Hear the soft hush of wind passing through leaves like whispers. The forest invites you to slow down, to breathe with the earth, and to rest in its timeless shade. In sleep, let the trees watch over you, as they once did for those long ago. The Celtic world was never a single kingdom but a mosaic of tribes, each with its own customs, leaders, and traditions. From the fierce warriors of Gaul to the scholars of Ireland, these groups shared a common language, a common reverence for nature, and a deep spiritual life. Though separated by rivers and mountains, they were connected by trade routes, storytelling, and shared belief in the unseen forces that shaped their world. These tribes were organized not by strict monarchy, but often by councils and chieftains who ruled through consensus and respect. Kinship mattered deeply, and family ties extended across territories. The bonds of clan dictated alliances, marriages, and conflicts, making the Celtic world a complex web of loyalty and tradition. Festivals and assemblies became moments to strengthen these ties, to settle disputes, and to honor the gods who governed justice and fate. Trade connected distant Celtic tribes, allowing them to exchange not just goods but ideas and customs. Metals from far-off lands were fashioned into intricate jewelry, while rare dyes colored their clothing. Even as they honored their ancient ways, they were open to innovation and cultural exchange. The roadways across these realms weren't just paths. They were lifelines that carried the pulse of a vast and vibrant civilization. Despite their differences, the tribes shared sacred symbols and myths that united them spiritually. Tales of heroes, battles, and gods circulated orally, weaving a common cultural fabric. These stories were not just entertainment. They were teachings, history, and warnings wrapped in magic, through the spoken word. Each generation inherited the wisdom and mysteries of those who came before. In the quiet moments before sleep, imagine yourself walking between these tribes, hearing distant laughter and the faint rhythm of drums. Feel the bonds of kinship and the pulse of shared stories wrapping around you like a warm cloak. The Celtic world was vast and diverse, but its heart beat strong and true in the forests and fields where magic was never far away. The Celtic languages, rich and melodious, were the lifeblood of their culture. Though no written script from early Celtic time survives, their languages thrive through oral tradition, songs, poems, and stories passed from generation to generation by bards and druids. This fluid storytelling created a living tapestry of history and myth, weaving lessons in legends and rhythms designed to be remembered and shared beneath stars and campfires. Celtic speech was poetic and symbolic, filled with alliteration and metaphor. Words weren't just for meaning, they were magic, shaping reality through sound and rhythm. The concept of Druidic language carried sacred power, connecting speaker and listener through layers of knowledge, emotion, and mystery. Storytelling was an act of creation, inviting listeners into worlds both real and imagined. Though largely oral, early Celts developed Agam, a system of carved symbols used primarily on stone and wood to mark names and territories. Agam was simple yet profound, a bridge between spoken word and the permanence of the land. These carved messages still stand today as silent witnesses to ancient lives and beliefs, quietly inviting us to listen to their secrets. Music was intertwined with language. Harps, flutes, and drums accompanied poetic recitations and dances. Songs could celebrate victories, mourn losses, or invoke blessings. The bards who mastered these arts held great respect, for they carried the collective memory and soul of the people. Their voices echoed through valleys, carrying stories that shaped identity and kept the old wisdom alive. As you drift toward sleep, imagine the cadence of these ancient words and melodies. Let the gentle hum of harp strings and whispered verses settle your thoughts. You are wrapped in a world where language is alive, breathing stories, magic, and memory into the dark, ready to carry you deeper into rest and dream. Stone circles and sacred monuments stood as silent witnesses to the Celts' deep connection with the cosmos. These massive stones, often arranged in precise circles or alignments, were far more than architectural feats. They were portals to the heavens. Sites like Stonehenge and Avery marked celestial events, serving as calendars and places of ritual, where the earth's rhythms met the mysteries of the stars. The placement of these stones was no accident. Alignments with solstices and equinoxes allowed the Celts to track seasons critical for planting and harvest. Beyond practical uses, the stones were believed to hold spiritual power. They connected the earth to the otherworld, inviting gods and ancestors to step through. These circles became the stages for ceremonies where time folded, past, present, and future merging in sacred space. Many of these sites were also burial grounds, places where the living honored the dead. Mounds and cairns near stone circles held the remains of chieftains or revered ancestors, linking the tribe's history directly to the land. In honoring their ancestors, the Celts maintained a continuous bond with those who came before, grounding their present in sacred memory. These monuments also inspired awe and wonder, reminding the Celts that they were part of something vast and eternal. The labor to erect massive stones was a communal act of devotion, a way to reach beyond human limits. Through the ages, the stones have stood steadfast, guardians of secrets whispered on the wind, inviting all who come near to listen with open hearts. As you close your eyes, Picture yourself stepping quietly into one of these stone circles. Feel the cool air, the steady pulse of the earth beneath your feet, and the ancient stones rising like silent sentinels around you. Let the timeless magic of these sacred places lull you deeper into rest, where stars and dreams entwine in peaceful harmony. The Druids are the soul of the Celtic spiritual world, keepers of wisdom, judges, teachers, and priests all in one. Their influence stretched far beyond religion into law, medicine, and governance. These learned figures were both revered and mysterious, for their teachings were often oral and secret, shared only with initiates who dedicated years to study. To be a Druid was to serve as the bridge between the human and the divine. Druids conducted rituals in sacred groves, often beneath towering oaks considered their holy tree. These ceremonies celebrated the cycles of nature, sought blessings for crops and warriors, and invoked the protection of gods and spirits. Their rites involved chanting, offerings, and the use of sacred objects like mistletoe and cauldrons. It was believed that Druids could communicate with the other world, weaving magic to heal, foresee, and guide. Their wisdom extended into natural sciences, herbalism, astronomy, and law. Druids studied the stars to understand the passing seasons, and used plants for healing. They were also arbiters of justice, resolving disputes within tribes through council and ritual. Their knowledge was a living tradition, carefully preserved and passed on through strict oral transmission to maintain its power and purity. Roman writers often described Druids with awe and fear, recognizing their influence but misunderstanding their mysteries. Despite attempts to suppress them, Druids persisted, adapting their traditions and sometimes blending with emerging religions. Their legacy survived in folklore, poetry, and a renewed interest in Celtic spirituality centuries later. Now, as you rest, imagine yourself seated quietly beside a wise Druid under a starlit sky. Feel the calm and ancient power flowing to the land, the rustle of leaves like whispered secrets. Let this serene connection to old wisdom ease your mind, guiding you gently into the realm of dreams. In Celtic culture, the seers, bards, and lore-keepers formed a sacred triad of storytellers who preserved the soul of their people. Seers were gifted with visions and prophecies, peering beyond the veil of time to guide chiefs and clans. Bards wove tales of heroes, gods, and history into poetic songs, their voices carrying memory and magic. Lore-keepers safeguarded sacred knowledge, passing down customs, genealogies, and laws with reverence and care. Bards held a special place in Celtic society, traveling from tribe to tribe with harps and lyres, their songs both entertainment and education. Their compositions celebrated the deeds of warriors, the power of the gods, and the mysteries of the land. A bard's voice can inspire courage or soothe sorrow, weaving emotional threads that bound communities together. Their artistry was not only performance, but a sacred duty. Lore keepers, often older members of the tribe, were living libraries. They held a collective wisdom, laws that govern behavior, histories that anchor identity, and spiritual teachings that guided daily life. Their memories were precise, their storytelling disciplined, ensuring that every word carried truth and power. In their presence, the past was never forgotten, and the future was shaped with understanding. Together, these figures kept the heartbeat of Celtic culture alive, even through times of upheaval and change. They were the living link between the gods and the people, weaving myth and history into a tapestry that defined a way of life. Their voices echo still, in the rustling leaves and the song of the wind, in the quiet spaces between waking and dreaming. As you lay down now, imagine their voices weaving around you like a gentle lullaby, stories of ancient magic and wisdom cradling you into peaceful sleep. Let their timeless song guide you deeper into dreams, where the Celtic realms unfold in quiet splendor. The Celts viewed the natural world as alive with spirits and energies that shaped every aspect of life. Animals were not merely creatures, but messengers and totems, each carrying specific meanings and powers. The stag symbolized nobility and renewal. The raven spoke of prophecy and transformation, and the boar embodied strength and courage. These creatures appeared often in art, myth, and ritual, reminding the Celts of their intimate connection to all living things. Animal symbolism extended into personal identity, with warriors and leaders often adopting animal names or wearing animal pelts in battle. These were not mere decorations. They invoked the spirit and protection of the animal. Warriors might call on the power of the bear for ferocity or the wolf for cunning, forging a spiritual armor that bolstered their courage and resolve. Birds were especially significant, seen as intermediaries between worlds. The eagle soared close to the heavens, carrying prayers and visions, while the raven was a harbinger of change. Stories told of birds guiding lost souls or bringing messages from the gods, their songs weaving threads between earth and sky. The reverence for animals also extended into Celtic art, where intricate designs intertwined creatures with knots and spirals. These motifs symbolize life's eternal cycles and the interconnectedness of all things. They adorn everything from jewelry to weaponry, embedding spiritual meaning into everyday life. As you settle into sleep, picture these animals surrounding you, not as beasts of the wild, but as gentle guides and protectors. Their spirits move softly through the dreamscape, inviting you to walk among the forests, hills, and skies of the Celtic realms where magic and nature are one. The forests of the Celtic lands were not only home to animals, but also sacred spaces where the divine touched the earth. These ancient woodlands, dense, shadowed, and alive with whispered secrets, were the sanctuaries of Druids and the stages for rituals. Oaks, ashes, and yews held special significance, each embodying different aspects of life and death, growth and decay. The forest was a living cathedral, inviting reverence and contemplation. Paths through these woods were more than trails. They were spiritual journeys. Wanderers followed narrow, winding ways marked by standing stones or carved trees, each step drawing them deeper into mystery. The forest invited both caution and awe, as it was said to be inhabited by spirits, fairies, and ancestors who might guide or test those who entered. Rituals in these groves honored the cycles of nature, birth, growth, harvest, and rest. Seasonal festivals like Samhain and Beltane marked transitions with fire, music, and offerings to the land and spirits. These celebrations wove the community into the rhythm of the earth, fostering harmony between humans and the natural world. The forest also served as a place of refuge and healing. Herbalists gathered plants with sacred knowledge passed down through generations, crafting remedies that could soothe wounds, ease pain, or mend the spirit. These natural cures were gifts from the earth, reminding all that health was a balance between body, mind, and the living land. As you close your eyes tonight, imagine stepping softly into these ancient woods, breathing in the scent of moss and earth, feeling the gentle pulse of life beneath your feet. Let the forest's quiet magic cradle you into peaceful sleep, where dreams unfold like leaves in the soft moonlight. The magic of the Celts was deeply entwined with the land, an ancient energy flowing through rivers, hills, and stones. This magic was not about spells cast for personal gain, but a sacred relationship with nature's forces. Rituals sought to harmonize human will with the cycles of the earth, inviting blessings of fertility, protection, and wisdom. Magic was a language of the invisible, the pulse beneath the visible world. Celtic magic was often practiced through sacred objects, called into abundance, wands of ash wood, and the revered mistletoe harvested from the holy oak. Each object carried symbolic power and was used in rituals to connect with gods and spirits. The cauldron, in particular, symbolized rebirth and transformation, a vessel of life's endless renewal. Rituals and charms were closely linked to the cycles of the moon and the seasons. Full moons brought heightened energy for divination and healing, while solstices marked turning points of power and balance. Magic was woven into the fabric of everyday life. Blessings at births, protections before battle, and farewells at death, marking sacred passages. Magic was never taken lightly. It was respect and awe for forces greater than oneself. The Celts believed that misusing magic would bring imbalance and harm. Thus, practitioners approached their craft with humility, careful to honor the land, the spirits, and the community. This reverence kept the flow of power pure and beneficial. As you drift into rest, imagine the gentle hum of ancient magic swirling softly around you. Feel the calm strength of the land's power flowing through your dreams, weaving threads of peace, protection, and renewal. Let this sacred energy guide you gently into a deep and healing sleep. The Celtic clans were tightly knit communities bound by kinship, honor, and tradition. Loyalty to family and tribe was paramount, shaping social structures and daily life. Chiefs led with both strength and wisdom, guided by counsel from druids and elders. These clans worked the land together, celebrated together, and faced threats as one, weaving bonds that sustained their culture through the ages. Gatherings were more than social occasions. They were vital for storytelling, lawmaking, and spiritual ceremonies. The assembly place, often near a sacred site, echoed with the voices of poets, warriors, and druids. Here, disputes were settled, alliances forged, and history preserved in song and spoken word, reinforcing the tribe's shared identity and values. Women held essential roles as keepers of the hearth, healers, and sometimes warriors or leaders. Their wisdom and strength were honored within the clan, and legends often celebrated powerful heroines and queens. The balance of masculine and feminine energies shaped Celtic culture's richness and resilience. Clan loyalty was tested in times of conflict, when rival tribes clashed or foreign invaders threatened their lands. Warriors fought fiercely with swords, spears, and shields adorned with sacred symbols. Yet even amid warfare, rituals and honor codes persisted, reminding all that strength was tempered by respect and courage by humility. As you rest tonight, envision the warmth of the clan's firelight and the steady drum of their unity. Feel the protective strength of their bond, surrounding you like a gentle cloak. Let this sense of belonging and honor lull you into restful sleep, wrapped in the timeless spirit of the Celtic people. The Celtic reverence for the sacred landscape extended to their monumental stone constructions. Standing stones, stone circles, and passage tombs dotted the countryside, serving as spiritual landmarks and celestial observatories. These megalithic structures were carefully aligned with the sun, moon, and stars, reflecting advanced understanding of astronomy woven into religious practice. One of the most famous sites, Newgrange in Ireland, is a passage tomb designed so that sunlight floods its inner chamber during the winter solstice. This breathtaking alignment symbolizes rebirth, an eternal cycle of life and death. Such places were centers of pilgrimage and ritual, where people gather to honor ancestors and connect with cosmic rhythms. Stone circles also marked sacred meeting places where Druids conducted ceremonies. Their circular forms symbolize unity and infinity, encapsulating the cyclical nature of time. At night, the moon's glow cast shifting shadows that seemed to bring the stones to life, evoking a powerful spiritual presence felt by all who entered. These monuments required communal effort to build, reflecting the cohesion and shared beliefs of the people. Their construction was both an act of devotion and a testament to the Celts' connection to the land. Every stone place was a prayer carved in granite, echoing through generations. As you drift asleep, imagine standing among these ancient stones, feeling the cool stone beneath your fingertips and the timeless pulse of earth beneath your feet. Let the silent strength of these sacred monuments steady your breath and guide your dreams to peaceful realms. The Druidic tradition at the heart of Celtic spirituality was a secretive and revered path of knowledge. Druids served as priests, judges, teachers, and philosophers, guiding their people through rites of passage and cosmic mysteries. Their wisdom was passed orally, cloaked in symbolism and poetry to preserve its sanctity. Their role was not to rule, but to serve as the link between the human and the divine. Training to become a Druid was an arduous process, often lasting many years. Initiates learned astronomy, herbal medicine, law, poetry, and ritual. They memorized vast bodies of lore, songs, and genealogies. This deep knowledge enabled them to mediate disputes, interpret omens, and maintain balance within the tribe and with the natural world. Ceremonies led by Druids often took place in sacred groves or stone circles. These rituals honored the cycles of nature and the spirits of ancestors. The Druid's voice, rich and melodic, carried prayers into the air, while offerings of herbs and mead were made to the gods. Music and dance joined the celebrations, weaving human joy into cosmic harmony. Despite their spiritual role, Druids also held political influence, advising chieftains and kings. Their counsel was sought in matters of war, peace, and justice. They were respected as impartial arbiters who upheld the sacred laws that protected the tribe's welfare and the land's balance. Tonight, as you prepare to rest, envision the gentle presence of the Druids, their wisdom flowing around you like a calm river. Let their serene strength and ancient knowledge soothe your mind, guiding you softly into dreams where the magic of the Celtic Realms welcomes you with open arms. The ancient Celts were masterful storytellers, weaving myths and legends that capture the essence of their culture and beliefs. These stories were passed down orally from generation to generation, sung by bards around fires and at feasts. They told of heroic warriors, wise kings, enchanted forests, and otherworldly beings, blending history with magic to teach lessons and inspire wonder. One of the most famous tales is that of Cuchulainn, a legendary warrior whose strength and courage made him nearly invincible. His adventures, filled with battles, challenges, and tragic sacrifice, embody the ideals of honor and loyalty cherished by the Celts. Such stories encourage bravery and reminded listeners of the delicate balance between fate and free will. Myths also explain natural phenomena through magical narratives. The changing seasons, The rising of the sun and moon and the mysteries of the land were all woven into stories of gods and spirits. These myths served as guides for understanding the world, connecting the seen with the unseen in a tapestry of meaning. The role of the storyteller was sacred. Through their words, they preserved the identity and wisdom of their people. Bards were respected figures who could inspire courage, teach morality, and offer comfort. Their songs invited listeners to journey beyond the mundane and into realms where magic and reality intertwined. As sleep embraces you, let these ancient stories unfold gently in your mind's eye. Allow the melodies and legends of the Celtic realms to wash over you, guiding you into peaceful dreams filled with heroism, magic, and timeless wonder. The Celts lived deeply attuned to the changing rhythms of nature, marking their year by cycles of light and dark, warmth and cold. Their calendar was anchored by festivals that celebrated these transitions, such as Imbolc, Beltane, Lughnasadh, and Samhain. Each festival was rich with ritual, music, and communal joy, reflecting a profound respect for the balance and renewal of life. Imbolc, welcoming the first stirrings of spring, honored the goddess Bridget and symbolized hope and new beginnings. It was a time for lighting candles and preparing the earth for planting, symbolizing the awakening of life from winter's hold. Such festivals nurtured a hopeful spirit in the face of nature's cycles. Lughnasadh, the harvest festival, celebrated the abundance of the earth and the community's shared labor. Offerings of grain and fruit were made to the gods, and games and feasts brought people together. This festival reminded all of the interdependence between humans and the land. Samhain, marking the end of the harvest and the beginning of winter, was a time when the veil between worlds was thin. It was a solemn yet hopeful festival of remembrance and renewal, honoring ancestors and inviting protection for the dark months ahead. The seeds of the future were sown in this liminal time. As you rest tonight, let the gentle flow of these sacred festivals soothe your spirit. Imagine yourself wrapped in the warmth of community, carried on the tides of nature's eternal dance. Let the rhythms of light and shadow guide you into a serene and restorative sleep. The Celtic artistry reflected their deep connection to nature and spirituality. Their intricate designs, interlacing knots, spirals, and zoomorphic forms, adorned everything from jewelry to weapons. Each pattern carried symbolic meaning, often representing eternity, unity, and the intertwining of life and the divine. Art was a living language, communicating the tribe's beliefs and stories in visual form. Metalworkers, woodcarvers, and weavers honed their crafts to a high art, often inspired by the natural world. Leaves, animals, and flowing water. Their work was both functional and sacred, designed to honor the gods and ancestors while enhancing daily life. Craftsmanship was a spiritual practice, blending skill with reverence. Celtic illuminated manuscripts, such as the Book of Kells, showcased a peak of their artistic expression. These richly decorated texts combine Christian themes with traditional Celtic motifs, creating stunning visual narratives. The vibrant colors and meticulous detail invite viewers into a world where art and spirituality unite. Symbolism permeated Celtic art, with the triskill and tree of life among the most powerful motifs. The triskill's three spirals symbolize balance between past, present, and future, or earth, sea, and sky. The tree of life connects the realms of earth and spirit, representing growth, strength, and renewal. Tonight, as you prepare to rest, allow the beauty and symbolism of Celtic art to calm your mind. Imagine these patterns gently weaving around you like a protective embrace, connecting you to the eternal cycles of nature and spirit. Let their timeless harmony carry you into peaceful sleep. The sacred forests of the Celtic realms were more than mere wilderness. They were living temples where the divine presence was palpable. Ancient oaks, yews, and ash trees stood as sentinels, their branches whispering secrets of the ages. These groves were places of meditation, healing, and communion, where the veil between worlds was thin and nature's magic flourished. The Druids held these forests sacred, conducting rituals in clearings where the earth fell alive beneath their feet. Sacred springs and stone altars nestled within the woods were focal points for offerings and prayers. The energy of the trees was believed to nurture the spirit, granting clarity and protection to those who sought it. Wild animals, viewed as messengers of the gods, roamed these sacred woods freely. The stag, symbolizing strength and renewal, was especially revered. Tales told encounters where humans and beasts shared understanding and guidance, blurring the lines between the earthly and the spiritual. The forest rhythm shaped the daily lives of the Celts, providing food, medicine, and materials for shelter and tools. Living in harmony with the woods meant respecting their cycles and preserving their mysteries. This reciprocal relationship honored the delicate balance, sustaining life. As you settle into rest, imagine yourself walking softly through these enchanted forests, feeling the cool shade and listening to the gentle rustle of leaves. Let the forest's ancient calm enfold you, carrying you gently into dreams filled with nature's wisdom and quiet magic. The magic of the Celts was deeply rooted in their relationship with the natural world, particularly through the use of sacred plants and herbs. These plants were believed to possess healing and protective powers, passed down through generations of herbalists and druids. From mistletoe to yarrow, each herb carried a unique significance within Celtic medicine and ritual. The sacred mistletoe, especially when found growing on oak trees, was considered a symbol of life and fertility. It was harvested with reverence during special ceremonies, believed to confer blessings and ward off evil spirits. Its rarity and mystical aura made it a powerful element in Celtic magic. Yarrow was widely used to heal wounds and ease pain, valued for its gentle yet potent properties. It was often woven in protective charms or burned as incense during rituals. The herb symbolized courage and resilience, traits deeply admired by Celtic warriors and healers alike. Celtic herbalists combined practical knowledge with spiritual insight, using plants not only to treat physical ailments, but to balance the energies of the body and soul. Their remedies were infused with intention, reflecting a holistic worldview that honored the interconnectedness of all life. As you prepare for sleep, imagine the gentle scent of these sacred herbs surrounding you, their ancient magic soothing your body and spirit. Let their timeless healing embrace calm your mind and carry you into restful, restorative dreams. The Celtic reverence for animals reflected a deep spiritual connection to the natural world. Certain creatures were seen as sacred symbols and guides, embodying qualities that inspired and protected their people. Animals featured prominently in myths, art, and ritual, serving as messengers between the mortal realm and the divine. The raven, a bird often associated with the Morrigan, the goddess of fate and war, symbolized transformation and prophecy. Its dark feathers and sharp cry carried messages from the spirit world. Celtic warriors sought its guidance before battle, honoring its power to reveal truths hidden in shadow. Horses symbolized strength, freedom, and the journey between worlds. The goddess Epona, protector of horses and fertility, was widely revered. Celts celebrated the bond between human and horse through ceremonies that blessed their steeds and honored their vital role in daily life and warfare. In tales and rituals, animals often appeared as shapeshifters or spirit guides, embodying lessons of courage, wisdom, and balance. These stories reinforced the sacredness of all life and invited humans to live in harmony with the earth and its creatures. As you drift towards sleep, picture these revered animals watching over you, their ancient spirits offering protection and guidance. Feel their quiet strength envelop you, leading you softly into dreams where the magic of the Celtic Realms continues to unfold. As the Celtic Realms evolved, so did their legends and spiritual practices, blending old traditions with new influences while maintaining a profound reverence for nature and magic. The legacy of the Druids, the sacred forests, and the ancient wisdom lives on today, inspiring those who seek a deeper connection to the earth and themselves. Today, Celtic symbols and stories continue to captivate hearts worldwide, reminding us of the enduring power of myth and the sacred connection between humanity and nature. From jewelry to literature, the echoes of ancient magic infuse our culture with beauty and meaning. The wisdom of the Druids, though often shrouded in mystery, continues to inspire spiritual seekers and nature lovers. Their teachings encourage mindfulness, respect for all living beings, and harmony with the natural world, values that resonate deeply in our modern age. The enchanted forests remain sacred places, inviting us to slow down, listen, and reconnect with the rhythms of the earth. Walking beneath their ancient canopies, we are reminded of our place within a larger, timeless story, a story written in leaves, stones, and stars. As you close your eyes tonight, carry the ancient magic of the Celtic realms with you. Let the whispers of the forest, the strength of the Druids, and the timeless beauty of the land guide you into a peaceful, restorative sleep filled with wonder and dreams of enchantment.